As the conflict between Israel and Palestine seems to have no end and keeps on making every headline across the globe,
Jerusalem and Tel Aviv with bitterness and longing.
this journey came to me quite unexpectedly. I know very little about the subject, even though I've been in numerous conversations across the years of people trying to explain both sides, the root of this conflict, and what is really going on. One day, I was at the beach with my friend, and as always I have my camera, so I did pull it out when we were by the ocean, freezing. It was about 33 degrees Fahrenheit. And magically, we just started talking about him and being Jewish, and ultimately, obviously, the conflict. Before we go ahead, this show aims to be completely impartial, and it only aims to show the journey, even though ironically, this is called Israel versus Palestine, Part 1. The answer never lies on the extremes. It always lies somewhere in the middle.
So do you think the Holy Land belongs to you?
As an ideal, yes.
I was just there. So
You're Jewish?
No.
You're not Jewish, all right.
And never ever forget, across history, across the multitude of horrible things that have happened in our society, the multitude of despicable actions that we've committed against one another, the most horrifying things that we have done as a collective, the answer is never going to be by hating one another, because ultimately we can never forget that hate is carefully taught.
It's not you, it's just my fingers cannot function. I cannot open this.
Try to warm up.
I can't.
Here, maybe I can open it for
Yeah,
you. Here,
can you-
Oh, I got it.
Alright. God. For Israel, so you are pro-Israel.
Well, yeah, I got relatives who live there and stuff like that.
Is it pretty bad?
Now it is. It was for a while. Now it's not.
Now it's back to normal.
Not fully, but on the way there. Like, they used to have a lot of wars going on at once, and now they kind of have one. That right now there's a ceasefire, but it's about to end. So
Really? You think it's gonna go back?
I think it's gonna go back, but the war it's not gonna be like it was at first. It's gonna be mostly going on within Gaza, within the Gaza Strip. Previously, Gaza had a lot of rockets, and they were shooting them at Israel, and also Lebanon, the organization Hezbollah, was shooting a lot of rockets at Israel too. So life in Israel was very disrupted, because people would have to go to like bomb shelters and stuff like that. But Hamas, the organization in Gaza that they're fighting against, is mostly defeated. So the battle...
Sorry, I know I'm really like I should know
I
more.
could talk about this for a very long time, so maybe I shouldn't. But
No, it's good.
well, how the war started was in 2023, October of 2023. They had been ruling an area of territory called the Gaza Strip, which is right next to Israel. And they invaded Israel, and they killed a lot of people, and then Israel started a war with them. And then some other organizations from other countries joined in the war on the side of Hamas, the organization, and Israel defeated some of them, and the other ones are still there, but the war is not really actively going on, but it's starting. They had a ceasefire, but the ceasefire looks like it's about to end, but it's unclear, you know? And then when the ceasefire...
But why did you say you think it will go back? The ceasefire will...
I think it'll end because...
No, you said you think... Okay, yeah, ceasefire will end, meaning that they will start war
they
again.
will start the war again. Yeah. But the war... But when you asked if it was dangerous or whatever, it was like a year ago. But now the Hezbollah, which is an organization in Lebanon that joined the war on the side of Hamas, is pretty much defeated. And Lebanon not shooting rockets at Israel or whatever like it was before. And Gaza, they're running out of rockets. and they're not really able to shoot as many. So right now, life in Israel is kind of normal. Not fully normal, but mostly normal. Whereas most of the war is localized to the Gaza Strip, which I'm sure you heard of, because it's 90% of all news broadcasts for the past year.
I don't watch any news at all.
Good. That's good. That's healthy.
At all.
That's healthy.
So I don't know too much. So my questions are probably very basic, and you're probably like,
That's good. I can answer basic questions easy.
what
as
is
I can
this
answer hard questions.
girl saying? And I had this conversation before at a guy at the philosophy club.
Yeah.
And he said, I loved talking to you because you were the first person I met that was not biased. And because I know, and I've met a lot of Israeli, and I've met some Palestinians, so I have that experience.
But you listen with your ears, not your mouth. That's precious here.
So there's a lot that I know that I don't know. So the basic questions is just like, first, the conflict has been going on ever since I am an adult, I would say.
It's been going on since 1948 and before.
Yeah, so even more than that. Even before I was even my parents were born. It's like, why now? Why are we so concentrated on this? I mean, I know that the attack in Israel happened and that made it the whole, right? But why do you think the whole world is now looking at it?
I think the world is attuned to what goes on there because it is a place people think about. It is the Holy Land. It is...
But it has always been like that. Why now in 2024?
Oh, well, the reason is because the war that's going on now, you see, even though there's been a war on and off for the past, 70, 80 years, whatever, most of the time it's been like a Cold War, so to speak. Most of the time, the enemies are just sitting there, sitting on their hands, growling at each other, but not actively fighting. Or if they are actively fighting, it's at a low scale or at a limited scale. Whereas since 2020, October 7th of 2023, this war turned into a hot war, and there's bombs going off, and things getting blown up, and things getting destroyed, and rockets being fired, etc. There was more drama. And there's an equivalent amount of drama going on in Sudan right now, but people don't care because Sudan is not in the mind of the Western person. For better or for worse, there are some countries that get attention when things happen there and some countries that don't.
But is there a reason, though?
I think it's just because, the media, whatever, it's all, the Western world has a certain focus on their fellow Western countries or first world countries or countries that are, that they have some sort of...
Are you saying that Sudan, they're too poor for us to care?
Unfortunately, it's the case. I saw it once shown in a meme very well that it had a map of the world with different countries colored in different colors, and when a tragedy happens in this country, and so one color was they have concerts, they have 24/7 news coverage, and then the next one was, oh, well, that's so terrible. What's for dinner?
That sucks, but we don't care.
Right, and then there was even lower levels of caring. And
what were the lowest ones?
the lowest one was something like, well, why are you even telling me this?
Really?
That was the lowest level. But there's certain countries, for better or for worse, and it's not necessarily good. I don't think it's a good thing, but it happens to be that there are certain countries that the Western world cares what goes on there or pays attention to what goes on there, and certain countries where they don't. And in the countries where they don't, sometimes even more dramatic things happen than in the countries where they do.
So much more dramatic.
But the
Wait, do you see the black thing that was on top?
The one...
I have it in yours, and I had it in mine. And I think I might have just lost it. Do you see it? Here. Okay, anyway, going back, sorry.
But I'm quite comfortable, yeah.
So so you're a Jew, so do you believe that and I know this might be a controversial opinion, which I love. I love that I'll have it. So do you think the Holy Land belongs to you?
Well,
to your people?
As an ideal, yes. But
it's here.
At the same time, I fully recognize that I come from a one-sided perspective in that way.
Okay, that's really good.
And, while I want my team to win, at the same time, it doesn't mean that I hate the other side. And I see where they're coming from too.
Do you? The
They-
Palestinian?
They were living there, and we came like aliens and declared independence on top of them, as they see it. Now, for us, it was always our land, and there were always some of us here, and we worked really hard to get our country, and etc. So
How did you work really hard?
well, me personally, I didn't do too much. It was already there when I showed up. But they, they built cities, they built infrastructure, they revived the Hebrew language, they lobbied foreign governments to recognize them, they integrated refugees, Jewish refugees from around the world, etc., etc. The country wasn't handed to Israel just because some foreign power was like, okay, it's yours now. Like there was a long project to try to create a country there where it hadn't been under the rule either of Jews or Arabs. It was originally under the rule, well, originally meaning in the 19th century, it was under the rule of the Ottoman Empire, and that was when the Zionist movement started. It started by Jews from living in Europe, which that's another discussion of what Jews in Europe have to do with that land, and this is part of our history that originally we come from that land and then we scattered around the globe. And as a reaction to the fact that at the time many European countries didn't want to have Jews there, and that the Jews didn't know where they should go, and one of the answers that was proposed was for Jews to build a country of their own,
Which was Israel.
which eventually became Israel. And even though at first they were discussing multiple places for it, Israel seemed like it made the most sense because
Is that after World War II?
this was before World War I. This was already, it started in the 19th century.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, but eventually the natural focus was on Israel because that's where Jews came from in the first place. And even all religious Jews, even anti-Zionist Jews, all pray towards Jerusalem. It has significance for us in our history, in our religion, all that. And so what they started doing was they started, building. They brought people from Europe and whatever, and they built towns. And at the time, at first there was no conflict with the Arabs. At first they would hire the Arabs, and they would buy land from the Arabs, and etc. And eventually, at first, the settlements that they were building. By the way, even though they were building settlements there were already Jews living there, in religious communities in like the Jerusalem, another city called Sfat, Hebron, and Tveria mostly. Those.
Let's see if I can. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have to sync this freaking stuff. Okay.
And
Yeah. So.
And there had always been like a community of Jews living in Israel, and they wanted to live there because it was the Holy Land, and they didn't necessarily have nationalistic aspirations or even feel they could create a country even if they wanted to. Although there's this aspect of the Jewish religion that they believe the Messiah will come eventually and reestablish the ancient kingdom of Israel under King David's descendant.
So that's why they want the land.
It's not
Because it's written in the Bible.
That's part of it. Because the Zionist movement as it exists today was actually started by secular people who just had the idea that there is this group of people living in Europe that Europeans don't want. Where should they go? And eventually they decided, well, these people come from Israel. Israel is where their history is, whether you believe in the Bible or not. And that's the thing that they have in common, and that they should try to build a country there. And after World War I, the British made promises both to the Zionists and to the Arabs, because the British also had used Arab nationalism as a way of opposing the Ottoman Empire. So they were making overtures both to the Jews and the Arabs, which is part of the classic British colonial strategy of dividing and conquering. Because
So it's all British fault?
ultimately, yes, yeah.
We gotta blame it on the British, on the Brits?
There's a lot of people we could blame it on, but it really there started to be. There were always incidents or whatever, but the actual organized conflict started under the British rule and was exacerbated by some of the divide and conquer policies, I think. And if you ask a lot of Arabs, they agree. So this is something we agree on.
What are some of those strategies that you think they do?
Well, firstly, by promising both the Jews and the Arabs the land, it's basically an invitation of saying whichever one of you fights over it and wins, you can come in.
But the thing is, like, why is British in the Britain
Well,
in the first place
how
the
they got
one
there.
they say that. How can they say a land that is not theirs, or is it theirs?
Well, what happened was
That these two people can have it. Like, how does that fucking happen?
well, they conquered it from the Ottoman Empire in World War I. And so they ended up sitting on top of it as a mandate. And the idea of the mandate was always that it would be temporary. But what would happen after the mandate, it depended who you asked. And there was,
What was the due date of that mandate?
I don't think it had a specific due date, but maybe it did. But at the end of the day, I know when Israel finally got its independence was 1948 from the British mandate. But
1948. Okay, so that's the year that you said the conflict started.
yes, it was already starting in 1947 because that's when Israel declared independence and or the UN vote or something happened and it started in 1947.
The World War II ended in 1948. Right?
45.
45.
So there was a
Oh
couple
yeah,
of
40 to 40. No, 40
For-
to 45.
39.
39 to 45.
Yes.
6 years.
Yeah.
And World War One,
Was
20
14,
to 20.
14 to 18.
14 to 18.
Yeah.
I get it all wrong. I was
So-
having a conversation, and maybe I will mix this one with her. She's from Ukraine, and I recorded almost a year ago in Barcelona, and she spoke Russian to the phone, and then we would.
Yeah.
It was really cool, and she was saying that the World War III already started, like that we're talking about a potential war, and we're talking about maybe the war is coming, but she was saying like, what the heck are you talking about? The war is already here. It started with us, and then it will go to this, and she actually said it a year ago before all of this happened with Palestine, that it will go to Israel. So it was really cool because she follows.
She predicted it.
She predicted a little bit because she follows, people that talk a lot about this in Russia, and because what the entertainment and the people that you have in Russia doesn't really come to this side. I should have posted it, but I just didn't because it was other stuff. But it was really cool that she predicted it. And then, do you agree that because I just checked and it was February 24th of 2022, so 3 years ago, this started. Do you agree that we've been at war for 3 years? So it's been World War III for 3 years
here's
now.
The thing. All these wars may look unrelated because they're happening in different parts of the globe, but they are all related.
So it was Ukraine, Syria, Israel.
There are different axes in the world. All these
Congo right now, right?
Congo, Sudan, a lot of them.
Sudan.
All these wars don't exist in a vacuum. All these little countries or little organizations have backers from larger countries. And these larger countries are organized into certain axes. For example, on one hand, Russia, China, Iran, Syria under Assad, all sort of allies, and sort of against America, EU, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Japan, etc. And there are neutral countries as well. Some people describe it as the new Cold War, and it's not quite as bad as the old Cold War in the sense that, China and America still have relations, even close relations. Russia and Israel have pretty close relations.
I know, but
also.
the world also evolved from 1940
right, but
to now. So maybe it is a war. It's just.
It is a war, but it's not as hot. It's not as.
You don't think so? It seems pretty
okay,
hot to me.
In certain areas. It all depends what we compare it to. If we compare it to World War II, this is a walk in the park. If we compare it to peace on earth, we aren't anywhere near there. Do I think that this is eventually going to turn into a giant world war and we're going to be sitting in trenches getting trench foot again like we did in 1915? I hope not, but who knows?
But what do you think? This is a World War III or not? Because if it is, and they usually last 4 to 5 years, we have one more year
Here's
and
what
then
I think.
it ends.
I think the global powers that want to compete with each other do not want to fight on their own soil. They do not want to fight with their own soldiers. There are certain designated...
Why not? Why do you think that?
It costs a lot of money, it costs
The
lives,
death-
it's
yeah, the
inconvenient
death-
to have a... Yes,
the death toll
the
is-
death and the expense. And the destruction. They don't want to have that in their backyard.
Okay,
You
so
don't want a gang fight to happen in your house.
That's a good argument.
But
you
maybe,
hear, that's a good argument.
But maybe you still support one of the gangs. You just don't want them to fight in your house. So you have these designated areas. Okay, fights can happen there. Fights can happen there, but they can't happen here.
They can't have, yeah.
And then that's where that's where the proxy wars happen. And so Ukraine, Gaza, these are areas that are on the fault lines and that have people that are willing to fight, and you
so
know.
maybe it's just sorry to interrupt. It's
Yes?
just a World War III, but instead of being in one place like it kind of was the first and the second, it's just spread out because of this inconvenience that you're talking about of expense and.
Which back in World War I and World War II, it was what we call a total war, and that all the countries actually were.
What? Total war?
Yes, in the sense that the countries that were involved, Britain, France, Germany, whoever, the whole of the country was dedicated towards fighting this war. The war happened on their territory. They really felt like they were at war. Nowadays, these current proxy conflicts between the, the Western countries and the, I don't know what to call them, the Eurasian countries or whatever, are, you don't feel them if you're sitting in America. You don't feel them if you're sitting in Beijing. You don't even feel them if you're sitting in Moscow. You only feel them if you're sitting in the war zone. And by the way...
So I guess that is the difference from World War II to now?
Yes.
That is the main difference? Okay.
Which is a good thing, actually, because you don't want millions of people dying as happened in World War II.
Yeah, we're more privileged.
Now our wars happen, at worst hundreds of thousands, but you don't have tens of millions of people dying in wars. And, hopefully even less going forward. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I like to try to stay optimistic. I like to believe that now there's active negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Maybe they'll find a way to solve their issues at the negotiating table and not at the battlefield. I hope that the war in what's going on in Israel is also winding down with a victory for our side, of course. But and I hope.
What would that mean, the victory for your side?
A victory for my side, as I see it, would be an end to the intermittent war that had been happening before, as well as I think that pretty much sums it up. Not just an end to the war, but that our country, Israel, is stable and prosperous and not destroyed like the other side wants it to be.
But that would mean that, so Palestine is on one side and you guys are on another side.
In some ways, yes, but in other ways, it doesn't have to be that way.
You don't see a future where both could coexist peacefully?
In principle, I do. In practice, I think first you need to win and finish the war. I think that there's certain organizations on their side that are very dedicated to continuing war, no matter what happens. But
Palestinian side?
Like Hamas, for example, and maybe even within the Israeli...
What do you think is that? Why do you think they have that?
Well, that's their resistance
desire.
Organizations. Their whole job is to fight Israel with the very distant hope that eventually Israel will collapse and that they'll turn it into Palestine. And they'll send all the Israelis back to Poland or wherever they want them to go.
So do you think the Palestine, their goal is to have the same territory in the map as Israel, the exact same, or no?
Mostly. However, there are different factions, both on their side and on our side.
But if they wanted, let's just say, half of the territory, and you guys wanted the other half, could that happen?
This was actually tried, and it didn't succeed because...
Why not?
Both sides.
Shit.
Let me get that for you.
Oh my God!
Because both sides could not come to an agreement about exactly where their border would be, and they ended up breaking out into another war. So that was actually tried.
When was that?
That was in the 90s. The 90s during the Oslo negotiations, Oslo Accords. People were talking about the idea of a quote-unquote two-state solution, where Israel would be having a country, and then Palestine would also be having a country in the territory of the West Bank and Gaza Strip.
Yeah, that sounds better.
But they couldn't agree on borders, they couldn't agree on a lot of stuff, and eventually a war just ended up breaking out anyway. So it didn't succeed, and now there's sort of a very strong lack of belief in the possibility of the success of two states. However, the Oslo process resulted in the creation of the Palestinian Authority, which was originally supposed to be the government of an independent state, and it calls itself the State of Palestine, but practically speaking, they don't actually rule over their territory, except to what degree Israel allows them to. And it also led...
Let me just ask you something.
Yeah?
Sorry, that's coming to my mind.
Yeah?
Before we proceed.
Yeah.
Where do you get most of your information?
A lot of sources. I've been reading a lot, talking to people, It's just something that I've been steeped in my entire life, because this is something that was important to me and the people around me for a long time.
Was the boarding school that you went to Jew?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Most people there were pretty enthusiastic supporters of Israel. Though I have interacted with many people who weren't as well.
Yeah, it seems like you have a pretty enough open-minded
Thank you.
to know the other side.
Well,
So I
I've
think
talked
that's
to
why,
them too.
Yeah,
I think it's important.
that's why you are here, and you have a place in my show, because otherwise, I think
Thank
you
you.
know, if it was someone that it would be completely one-sided.
Well, what would be
regardless
interesting?
of the side.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't have I don't want to give them that
Right.
space because.
You don't want to be a partisan.
Yeah, because first, like I said, I don't know enough, and second,
Maybe also at some point on your show you could bring a Palestinian. You get a counterpoint.
I think I'm going to do that. Maybe you and then bring a Palestinian. That would be really cool to see what they say. They're harder to find though.
Bay Ridge, that's where you should look.
They are they here?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I could do that and go and try to find someone.
Maybe you
that
could
would-
even mediate a dialogue.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Okay, we could do that.
Yeah.
Like a peaceful one.
Obviously,
okay.
not a fight, but a dialogue.
That would be really cool. Bay Ridge.
That's where the Palestinian.
So, I did go to Bay Ridge to try to find a Palestinian perspective, the other side, because this is the premise of the show, one side versus the other, trying to bring these two together. However, the only people I could talk to, the only people that were Palestinian in a few restaurants that are in Bay Ridge, only spoke Arabic. And because I don't speak Arabic, it seemed like it would have been a little bit of a struggle. A few months passed after this conversation was recorded in March 2025, until I met Yossi. He's been doing philosophy on the streets, sort of similar to Les Corujas, where he just put the sign out, waiting for someone to come and have a philosophical moment with him. And he was like, "Do you want to come record?" And I said, "Sure."
Solution, right? Pitaron is solution?
I think so, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I had designed.
All right, it says here, yeah.
Do you want to philosophize a little bit?
Curiosity cures the divide. Nice.
And this is what happened.
What's on your mind?
I mean, it's sort of ever present, but, the Israel-Palestine conflict is top
Yeah.
of mind. So, there's a lot of philosophy wrapped up.
Yeah, I have a friend who's close with a family. They've been posting online. They have I don't know if it's a Bedouin family or just otherwise Arab in the West Bank, I believe, who right on top of them, settlers built a sheepfold, right next to them,
Yeah.
commandeering their land and their space.
That's so
Over
wild.
the course of an hour, they built that.
That's so wild.
Yeah. And well, this is our land. We're taking it. You can't have it. Fuck you. I don't care if you've lived here. It's not important to me.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed is people think that it is a religious conversation, but I don't think it starts there. I think it's what you're talking about. It's more about the human aspect of it first, and then they use religion to justify. No matter what religion you're in, you can't just, that's quite indignant. And not, it's like
Indecent or indignant?
indecent
Yeah.
and non-dignifying.
Yeah.
To just go on top of somebody, no matter what they believe. I don't care, no matter what your belief is, if you
Yeah.
just go and start posting up property,
Yeah.
there is not an argument to be made. You could have all the facts in the world, you could have all the history in the world,
Yeah.
but I don't think anybody would ever want that to happen to them. I don't think anybody would ever say, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, I makes sense that you took my land."
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Well, you don't think it's religious? Because I think
I used to, and then I was just there.
yeah.
So
You're Jewish?
No.
You're not Jewish, all right.
No, I'm fundamentalist Mormon.
Oh, really?
Ex-fundamentalist Mormon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were just there?
Yeah, I was just there.
Where'd you go?
Mostly all over Israel.
Right.
I went close to Gaza,
Okay.
and I went to Jerusalem, tried to get into the West Bank, didn't pull it off this time. Before going, I thought it was all religious.
Yeah.
And then after talking to a variety of Jewish people and Palestinians, I'm not so sure anymore.
I mean, I think why there, right? That's like a religious and ethnic thing. Maybe not just religious, but like there's a I guess
What
people
makes you
call,
think that it's religious?
well, so I grew up religious Jewish, and God says, "Hey, I'm giving you this forever.
Right.
Go genocide these people."
Right.
Of course, there were 2,500 years ago. Go genocide these people, and it's yours. So to me, that I imagine that in the mind of Israelis, and especially religious ones, that you can genocide forever, right? You get a free pass. God says, "Go do it. Go genocide over there." Right.
All right, but why aren't people doing? There's a lot of Jewish people that aren't doing it though, and so like I'll give an argument that I heard from a Jewish person over there.
Yeah.
It didn't start off with religious people taking land.
Sure. Yeah.
What was it? It was secular Jews.
Right.
So what I get from this is this happened a lot with history. There was no shortage of someone ready to bring up something historical or potentially historical based on the biblical text.
Yeah.
But what it seemed like, and this is interesting from a philosophical or scientific discussion, is they had their conclusion decided on,
Yeah.
and then they
backfilled it with a
that's what
religious
it seems
explanation.
like. Yeah. I don't see anybody being like, they're not on neutral footing being like, what should we do? Should we genocide or not genocide? Should we take the land or not take the land?
Right.
It's usually they make the decision,
Yeah.
and then they justify it and be like, look, God justifies me.
And then I think one of the places they were looking at was Uganda for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I guess because there weren't important people living there either, right? Similar to Palestine. It's like, well, nobody we care about lives there. Let's be given that land. I think that was like I don't know if they were working with the British or who it was proposed, but I remember because I grew up Zionist, and so like in a Zionist school, and so I remember learning about how Uganda was considered, but I guess we didn't want that. It wasn't Israel, right? Israel's the historic homeland, and so we wanted that one. I think that the idea of we need a place to our own so that we can govern ourselves and not be under anybody else's thumb. I think that it's a reason. It's a sensical desire.
I mean, that's kind of what America did, right?
Kinda. You mean like with the early Puritans? Like we don't want to be. We want to.
Well, we became America because we didn't want to be fucked with by another government, like the British
self-governance.
government.
Yeah. But like most Americans were never under. Well, I don't know. I was going to say most Americans were never under threat of persecution on the basis of their being Americans. Certainly that, but like on the basis
Jewish
of
people were
Jewish
right.
people, but also like you think of the Pilgrims, right? Where they wanted to leave they wanted to leave England so that they could practice their own thing, right? They could do their own thing, and maybe they were persecuting themselves or each other, certain ethnic, right? The ethnic group wanting to have their own place.
Which, as you said, I mean, is that unreasonable to want your home, to want a place?
Right. Especially when you have a history of persecution, right?
Right. You've been persecuted. You want some place to feel safe. Like, do you feel? I'm genuinely curious. Like, what's your view on that? Like, does that feel reasonable?
I mean, what should we each be able to expect in life, right? What do we have a right to peace and prosperity?
I would take it one step before.
Yeah.
I think we have a right to. What is honest for ourselves.
Okay.
And I think it's reasonable to want peace.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to get it or not, it feels pretty. Because there's other values that have to come into play to make peace happen.
Okay.
But the question for anybody, where no matter where you are in the world, is that a reasonable thing to desire, to make so that you have a place that is safe, where you can not have to look over your shoulder all the time.
Right.
But then, and most people would say yes to that. But then, of course, what they end up doing is they then arbitrarily pick where their peace is.
Right.
I just watched a video today by this Holocaust survivor that is, he was a baby, but he is now very sympathetic towards the Palestinian plight.
I think it's a case of like trauma begets trauma.
You're speaking my language.
Hurt people, right?
This is what I picked up going there.
Yeah.
They feel like it feels like it feels like Israel. Like if we can just speak for them now, they genuinely are in so much pain.
Yeah.
I saw so much pain. They need a collective hug from humans. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
And it's very easy to look at the other pain they're causing, but if we're trying to get to the core, if we believe that Israel is the core cause, like if you just go down that track, there's not a lot of human beings that feel safe and secure and loving in themselves that fuck on others. It's usually when they are traumatized.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I saw a lot of people from a grandma all the way down to a 9-year-old. And it makes sense. Their entire, besides the like last several thousand years, just in the recent last 100 years.
Right.
So
Yeah, very acute trauma.
So how do you relax trauma and do it? And like that's the problem. Almost like if you have a group of people that even if you want them to have their own home and safe place, who's going in there and helping them relax their trauma?
Yeah. I wonder if there are answers for this. I don't think there are answers found already.
I don't think answers is the right way to approach it yet. Because when I hear answers, I think solution.
Okay. And then you think back to final solution? Like
Yeah,
rhyming with
and
that?
I think we jump to conclusion too quickly.
Yeah.
And growing up how you did and I did, we were filled with conclusion and solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, here's the answer.
Right.
And I think, I don't know about you, but in my deconstruction, it wasn't just going from this set of answers to a new set of answers, otherwise you're still susceptible to culty thinking.
Yeah.
You have to sort of take a completely different approach, which for me is like being okay with saying the words, I don't know.
Yeah.
And getting curious. So before answers, just asking a whole lot of, like, don't jump to conclusion yet, like really ask, what is this? What's that? What's going on? I don't see a lot of curiosity.
Maybe not solutions then, but approaches, we should say.
Yeah.
Like, because you need to have a philosophy in how you go about the world, right? Yeah, I was saying to Eldo a moment ago, or a little bit ago, like, I feel like because I'm so willing to say I don't know, I feel like I'm not certain that I try that hard to find, to get better at things. Like, because I'm like, maybe I'm feeling the safety of I don't know, and if that's always going to be okay, do I need to get to a place where I can say I'm pretty sure or I know?
That's why I think I like curiosity, because curiosity implies, in my view, the humility of I don't know, but also the desire to want to. It's like childlike seeking.
Yeah.
Wondering what's making this monster, this machine that is so much pain in the world. And I think the reason I'm so curious about it is, even though I grew up under a rock essentially in fundamentalist Mormonism my whole life, is I don't think we're disconnected from each other as much as we think we are. Like, you grew up Jewish, I grew up but here we are sitting on the fountain in Washington Square Park, and like, I don't know, we're still all on this blue marble.
But that we're all in this together.
I mean, for better or worse, I don't mean to seem kumbaya or like so naive, but for real though, like, the way we're approaching this, I think, affects the way we approach people generally. And if you're just going to, like, for somebody to just go to treat somebody disrespectfully, and think that that's not going to come back on you somehow. Like, you can test this out. Like, if you went around just slapping people in the face, it's not going to feel good for you eventually.
Well, you're pretty quickly going to get slapped.
Right.
But I mean, but even...
It's not good for you to slap. It's not good for you to slap. So if you're someone that is going to say, I, by my scripture, get to claim this that is yours, even though you have a different view, what you're essentially doing is invalidating them. So if you have invalidation come on you, like somebody wanting to say, you know what, well, you don't even deserve to be here, you should leave. Like, sure, is there a surprise? Is there a surprise when, like, there's a lot of pushback on Israel, for example, that they shouldn't even have a nation.
Right.
And then, so it's almost like invalidation begets invalidation.
Right, because do you mean like they're invalidating the Palestinians and then they get invalidated?
Right.
But then also they get invalidated and they lash out.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they're just chasing their tail, and their entire existence has to start, it seems, and this is outside looking in, but it's like they then have to start just justifying every reaction and being like, well, look how evil. And so then they get more inflammatory with how they describe the other side, like monsters and stuff like that. And like, we need to slow down for a little bit and realize, hey, yes, you deserve peace. Everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves home. We're talking about other humans. And just as you deserve it, what can you do to create it for yourself and others, you know?
So on that question of deserving, so like, what is it, by what virtue do we deserve anything?
I think a good standard I like to live by is what you're asking for.
Other people deserve the same shit you want, you mean?
If you want something, you at least have to be willing to allow it.
That other people do, yeah.
I think that keeps things equitable.
Sure.
If you want respect, you deserve to. If you want respect, then it feels pretty equitable and reasonable that you provide respect.
But what I mean is, if I have I want something, I feel like I deserve something, and like I'm not thinking about what other people here, right? Like if I say I deserve to be happy, I deserve relationships, I deserve all these things that involve other people.
Sure.
Like nobody else owes me any of those things, right?
Right.
I don't think the universe has any agency, so I don't think there's any source from which I can deserve any of this stuff. So I'm not sure you can deserve anything. I don't think deserving is a thing that, like.
But do you deserve happiness any less than anybody else?
No, I don't. But so I think that there's the positive. Do I positively deserve something? Like,
do you desire
do I ought to have it?
Do you desire it?
Yeah, I desire it. Happiness.
I mean, that's probably enough.
Well, so I think there's a difference between I positively deserve this versus it is not a perversion for me to have it, right?
Okay.
So like I can say I deserve this, like,
So
you know, I deserve happiness.
so-
It's not a perversion that I should be happy, but also, is it a thing that I deserve from the universe?
Do you deserve life?
Right. I don't.
Do you deserve life?
From what? From whom? From other people?
That's
From
yeah,
myself?
yeah,
From the
yeah.
universe? From the universe, no, because I don't believe in the universe's agency.
Okay.
From other people, under most circumstances,
That's
probably.
kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is like, because that's all of our issues are with ourselves and others.
Yeah.
We're not at a fight with the universe. We're at a quarrel with us. And I
Right.
think it's really about getting to getting to what matters with us as humans, and getting to what we want, and being willing to pursue what we want, and also allow others to pursue what they want.
Right. But what about when?
That's what I call deserving.
Okay. That, like, not getting in the way of other people when they're trying to achieve something?
Yes, I think that's fair enough.
Okay.
It's not that we don't agree. It's that we have a belief that we believe so much, and we think somebody else must have our belief. There's a way to find a win-win. There's a way to find harmony in opposition.
Well, you say there's room, right? But I want to be where you are, right there. I want to be there, right? That's my seat you're in.
Okay, why do you want this seat?
I need more room than I have.
Okay. It didn't bother me to move, and you can have it if it really matters to you.
But suppose there was somebody sitting right behind you. Well,
I'm good to stand. My point is, like, this was a big conversation. I get where you're going, because this was a big conversation with Palestinians.
Yeah.
One of the most impactful moments that I had in the Middle East just now is I was in this deep conversation with a Palestinian, and I said, "What do you want? What do you really want?" And he essentially said what you just did. He's like, "I want the occupation to end.
Yeah.
I want my land. I want my spot."
Yeah.
And I asked him this, like, it was something that was like, that feels like a solution to what you're actually wanting. What are you actually wanting?
Yeah.
And he thought about it, And it was the most wild thing I wasn't expecting. He got slow, soft, started crying, and he says, "You want to know what I really want?" And he says, "I want from the Jewish people, the Israeli people, to look me in the eyes, and see that I'm a human." Think about that. So that's what the ending the occupation meant to him.
Right.
Is it just meant?
Because that's what any decent human would do,
Right.
recognizing me as a human.
Yes. So that's my point. Is there's usually something deeper. And if you can find that, that's not unreasonable. It's like, I want to be treated as a human being.
Right.
You think it's about land and then you're fighting over land. Like, if you can get to the point of values, like I want to be valued as like a human, it's like, I mean, I get that. You know? Like, I feel like there's something we could always get deeper into that goes beyond the seat.
And then at base, it's something that we can all recognize.
And you can find the win-win. You can see values because values together, when they're done well, it's not one value plus one value now has three values. They can start to compound in a really beautiful way. Like, I mean, nature and universe is that way. 1 + 1 in a partnership doesn't equal 2. It equals 3 if you have sex, you know? It multiplies. I really think there's something, I think this is my thing, is like, I think there's always a way. This is why I'm so curious about the Israel-Palestine thing, is people are out here talking about the slapping and the surface level stuff, but there has to be something at the core, because I believe in humans enough that we've done enough with creating amazing, ridiculous things over the years, that there has to be a way to find a win-win with what we all want. And I know that sounds naive to a lot of people, but I think it's only because we're arguing about the wrong things, we're not getting to the core. We ran out of food every Thursday, and if you sent us a loaf of bread every Thursday, I wouldn't be annoyed, and I would view you as a comrade and not an enemy. And so that's why I threw missiles at you. And so literally, this is a silly example, but I think it's so true. Like you provide something small, it's like way smaller than having $100,000 military defense. You just give people loaves of bread, and now they feel human, so they feel like they're dignified, and so now they're not retaliating. So,
but they're going to want you to treat them more like a human and more like a human until finally you're equals. How could we?
Oh no! That's my point, though. That's the thing, is you have to see that this is good for you, because this sucks for Israel.
Yeah.
It also sucks for Palestinian.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't know anybody that loves it. From people that I've talked to.
Arms manufacturers.
That's what I'm saying. People always talk about that, but I don't know anybody where I've actually talked to them where they're like, and I have friends. This is what made me so curious about it, is having Palestinian friends that I know are amazing, and having Israelis and Jewish friends that I know are amazing.
Yeah.
And then ex-Jewish people that are also
still Jewish.
You know,
just
still
not,
Jewish.
It's a complicated identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that loves the current thing. So it's like, you have to be able to see, like, no, you approaching it differently this way is not only easier, it gets you more of what you want.
Right.
It's not, and again, trauma begets trauma, hurt people beget hurt people. Like, can we be surprised?
I don't know. I have no idea, though, how to get people to trust each other more.
I don't know if that's...
Especially being not among them, right? Not being them.
I don't think it starts there. I think that's too big of an ask.
Yeah.
I think what it is like, how can you make them feel okay themselves? And how can you hear them? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to hear people. I'm trying to hear, I don't know what it's like to be a five generation Israeli that's just always feels like you have a target on your back.
Yeah.
And there's this narrative that all Jewish people control the world. Like, even if you leave it, like, you're supposed to be part of some conspiracy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a 16 or 17-year-old boy in Gaza right now who has heard stories of his uncles and grandparents or great grandparents that have had their land stolen from them and got killed by some oppressive force, and like that, I don't know what that's like. And so at the very least, how can we hear someone before we even go to conclusion and answers? Like at the very least, how can we see each other in their humanity and be like, holy shit, that's hard. And it doesn't take, one pain doesn't take away the other. Like you can hear the pain of a Palestinian without thinking it invalidates the entire Israel cause. You can hear the pain of an Israeli and not think it invalidates the entire Gaza Strip. We have to see each other because we have all felt pain at some point, different levels, but we can't be comparing whose pain is like. Again, there's so much pain going on right now. But if we had, if a young, bloody-nosed 6-year-old boy or girl came running in here because they lost their mom 3 hours ago, and were terrified, we wouldn't tell this child, hey, there's somebody suffering right now that has their head blown off or their parents killed, so you shouldn't.
But recognize how good you have it.
Recognize how good you have it. You would pick it up and you would recognize the suffering, do something with the suffering that's in front of you. And I really believe this, that we have to do something with the suffering that's in front of us. That we can do something with, like something that's not so, like, because there's so much. But what's the thing you can do with? What's something there?
And then one of the things that you've done then is to go listen, right? And then be able to, and now you understand it a little better. You at least have heard it, and you can relate that you have heard it. And guess what?
It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
It makes me realize there's so much more to learn. I need to go to Lebanon. I want to know what it's like to live in Lebanon. I want to go to Gaza at some point.
Yeah.
I want to go live in the West Bank, like in a Muslim home.
Yeah.
And like, what is this like for you? Like, I'm getting chills as I'm saying that because I know that there's got to be something that I can't even comprehend. And we're all talking about history this, and I should have the land because the Bible this. It's just invalidating others' pain. And if we're invalidating others' pain, if you start slapping everybody, you can't be surprised if eventually a reaction comes back.
Yeah.
Because pain's bad enough. Pain's horrible. But I can't think of anything that's, I can't think of anything that is probably more uncomfortable as a human than having your pain itself invalidated.
Right.
I mean, I look at New York City as an example.
Yeah.
There is so many varieties of humans here that are finding a way to harmoniously live. We have evolved and found out how to be different and coexist. And I've talked to Palestinians that very much do not like their current plight. And I've talked to Israelis that currently do not like their plight. So my point is, they both say, this sucks.
Yeah.
We want better.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying, quite simply, I don't think it's too big of a thing, is like, it sucks. And if both parties that are involved in the making of it sucking both want it to not suck, there has to be a way for it to suck a little less. And or are you saying it sucks and there's no way it could suck less?
No, I'm saying that the paths toward it sucking less are a thing that you have to agree upon, right?
I think that's getting too far. Yes, but we're jumping too far.
So if I want to acknowledge your suffering, that requires me to do certain things, right? To be like, yeah, maybe I don't get to have everything that I want, right? It's going to make me compromise, and I don't like compromising.
Exactly. Now we're really getting to something. This is why I think win-win is such an important conversation, and not the win-lose. Because this is what I found, and I think Israel-Palestine is the perfect example. Compromise will not win it. Compromise will not work with this. There's some things that we fundamentally as humans cannot compromise on. Fundamentally, as a human being, you want to have, if you're a Jewish person living in Israel, fundamentally you want to feel like you have a right to exist, you have a right to peace.
Right. And a right to be there.
And a right to be there. I talk to a lot, like, that's not necessarily the same thing that Palestinians want. Okay. Palestinians, and again, I still need to talk to more Palestinians, and I want to, and I would love, if this is online, like people in the comments to tell me what they want fundamentally. But one thing what it seemed emergent from a values perspective is they want dignity. peace and dignity are not necessarily mutually exclusive. And so,
right. Of course, they're not mutually exclusive. You would expect them to come together, peace and dignity. Do you mean that they don't necessarily, one doesn't automatically imply the other?
correct.
Okay.
One does not necessarily take away the other. So this is my point, though.
Take away the other.
Yeah, or like, for example, you actually have to get, this is why it's so important to get to the bottom of a value, because you
Yeah.
actually don't want to have the same values necessarily all the time. Because
Right.
if you both wanted peace,
Yeah.
then you're like, well, just stop fighting and
Right.
then we'll have it. And like, well, you stop fighting. But it's like,
Right,
no,
right.
I want peace.
On my terms.
Yeah, but it's like humans, we get along with exchange. We like exchange.
Yeah.
We exchange in conversation. We exchange like, I'll give you my money for my latte.
Yeah.
And if you get clear on that, you can give each other the things that you need from each other. Like
Okay.
I need peace from you. I need dignity from you.
Right.
Like you can exchange on those things. But that's a separate point, because
Okay.
the point is like, when something is a core value, you cannot compromise on it.
Right.
The only way to do it is through win-win exchange.
Okay.
That's the only way. It can't work. So I would agree with you on that. Like, some things are fundamentally like, you can't move forward on it unless you find where it's an obvious yes for you and an obvious yes for the other side.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to budge,
Right.
because you're not going to be like, okay, I guess you can take my daughter's arm, just keep her alive. No.
Right. And I think identifying those is difficult, right?
that what?
Like, we're circling back to like identifying those core, the underlying value, the underlying need. It's difficult.
It's difficult, you're saying?
Yeah. Why is it so difficult to figure out what is underlying?
We're invalidating each other. So, right now, it's difficult for a number of reasons, and it depends on who you are.
Okay.
If you are, I have friends that live in Israel, and right now they feel so invalidated, even though they just went through something genuinely horrific.
October 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're spending so much time not even getting to feel their pain. They're justifying themselves all the time. And so I think there's got to be some way, and it might take people that isn't Israeli and isn't Palestinian, it's the rest of the global community, to give a collective hug, a collective blanket, a collective holding space of people's pain. Like people that give up, because here's the thing I know for sure. If you just look online, you could say people are fighting, but what I can also tell you is people give a fuck. There's a lot of people in New York that give a fuck about what's going on. And if you get to that and we're like, oh, these people really care, then what's a more productive way to care? It's not just going to be invalidating the other side because you care about this person's pain. How can you care about this pain? And how can we not invalidate each other and not say, as you said earlier, one pain's bigger than another's pain?
So do you think that we should have like events where we don't say anything that we should do, just we say, hey, this hurts. Hey, this hurts. And be like, I don't know what to do about that.
Yep.
And like not even like call for any action at all. And just say, this all sucks.
This is wild. I just had a 3-hour conversation. I call a conversation with a friend on the phone right before I came here. On my walk over here, she sent me a message saying, that was so healing for me. Thank you so much. I didn't do anything.
Right.
I had my earbud in and I was there just listening to her. But it was healing because I heard it and reflected some things back, but I was like, she did all the work.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are in pain, but there's nobody in there. Like sometimes you just need another human being sitting in the mud with you, so to speak. Like willing to be in there with it. So yeah, we don't have to solve everything, but we can start in the most fundamental things that we can all understand, like recognizing that there's real pain here.
One thing that gives me pause though is that if we call for things like just seeing the pain and not trying to take action, then like every day that passes, more people die, right? And
Hold on, I'm not saying
no,
I'm not saying don't take action.
Okay.
What if seeing somebody's pain keeps people alive. Like, because that's the thing, is like what's causing the death.
It's the invalidation of the pain of others. Yeah.
So what if you see the pain of others? What if you see the pain of others?
I suppose the seeing of the pain of others will then lead you to some other conclusions, right? It'll lead you to process and then to recognize their pain. And that may lead you to some other action. But I suppose what you're saying is that just the processing and the seeing of the pain without in that same moment calling for anything and just saying, see this pain, is a good and noble, it's a good exercise.
I think it's good for them and good for you.
Right.
I think it's good for the problem of the
Right.
of the conflict. Like,
Right.
my question would be, what's the alternative? It's like, yeah, what's better as a starting place than seeing somebody for where they are and the pain that they're in? Because, I mean, you're the one that said it. What happens when people are hurt?
What did I say?
Hurt, you said hurt people.
Oh, we hurt people back, yeah. Hurt people hurt people.
So how you end that cycle?
By recognizing that you've hurt the person, and that, or rather that they are hurt. You don't even have to take you don't start from saying, hey, I hurt you. You just start by saying, hey, you're hurting.
And that sucks.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And want to know what's wild?
Huh.
What I really feel is that, and this almost feels naive to say, but I think if this actually started to happen
Yeah.
in the next few years, there's nobody that's going to understand an Israeli more than a Palestinian, and there's nobody that's going to understand a Palestinian more than an Israeli. Because there is such a pain that I don't understand, that you don't understand. That's not to say that, because both of them knows what it feels like to feel so at war with a neighbor.
Right.
And what that, and how heavy that is on your psyche and your soul.
Yeah.
And if we saw that, and it could start one-on-one, like an Israeli and a Palestinian that really felt that pain.
Yeah.
And then they saw it in each other, man.
And that can be healing to feel like, to recognize what you and your side have done. Once we have the recognition of, here's the pain that you have, and then it can come to, here's how I acted in my pain and caused pain.
In a safe way. They need to be able to say it and own it, not a...
Right.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Calvin Wayman.
Calvin Wayman.
Like Calvin Klein.
Alvin, what's your handle?
Calvin Wayman everywhere.
Calvin Wayman. All right. I'm Yossi, Katzin. What? Can you hear me? All right. At TrekkieYK everywhere, mostly. Yeah. Thanks.
Good conversation.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad to get back.
Maybe we just solved the world. Who knows?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Probably nothing, but...
Probably nothing, yeah.
Is this going to go on short form or long form?
I don't know.